Okay, so at this stage we've all the layers created, and now it's time to transfer the objects onto the relevant layers. So if I just first of all just select all of these objects to show you that they're still on layer 0, everything's on layer 0. Pop the little menu down. You see we've got all our layers created. I'll temporarily turn on this quick properties toolbar as well, just to show you this. You may want to use this. I'm kind of jury's out on this one with me. Sometimes I think it just gets in the way as well. So let's start selecting our center lines. So the objects that represent center lines in our drawing, we'll select all those. You see that kind of getting in the way from me there. That's what I'm talking about. You can actually change where it kind of pops up, change the position of it, but it kind of half defeats the purpose. If you're going to move it that it always appears over here, you might as well pop up here and use this anyway. So don't know. Kind of still getting used to it. Still a fairly newish feature. So I'll kind of leave it on, turn it off on occasions. You'll see me kind of use it and then not use it on other occasions. We'll see how it goes. So I can kind of pick then the layer from here, select the center line layer, and magically hit escape to clear the grips. And magically everything kind of goes onto that center line there. Do the same now with the hidden lines. So our hidden lines, just zoom in to have a look for those. And it's those two objects. And then over here I think it's this one and this one. And again, just to show you, I'll pop up here and do this one this time. So do it from up here. Hit escape and you can see we've got hidden lines. Don't worry too much about the line type scale at the minute. We're going to change that at the end anyway. So we'll worry about that at the end. So that's our changing our objects to layers. We've also got the outside to change. This it's on layer 0, has to go to the layer bracket. Just to show you a few little kind of things you might use this for. So if I come up here, if I freeze the center line layer and the hidden layer, you see what it does. It allows me then, turns them off, can't see them, allows me to easily select those objects to place them on the layer whatever bracket. I won't just do that just for now. So we can freeze them, turn them back on by clicking on the little snowflake, and the sunshine comes up again and it's a sunny day again and everything's back on. We can also turn off a layer. Looks exactly the same thing. Again, I'll just show you in a little while now. Just bear with me and I'll show you the difference between turning off a layer and freezing a layer. But it appears to do the same thing, and again we can kind of select our objects and change it to any layer we like. Another thing you might like to do as well is if I lock a layer. So if I lock the center line and the hidden layer, if I zoom into that, you see the little lock appearing as I hover over it. I can still select it, still selectable, but I can't do anything with it. It's locked. You see there's no grip appearing. Still looks as though it's selected, but it's not letting me. There's no grips for me to do anything. If I click on it and hit the delete key, nothing happens. It won't let me. If you look down here in the it says one item found, object selected, total nil, because one was on a locked layer. Okay, so it's telling me it's locked. I can't do anything with it. So if you've got items that you want to prevent from being deleted or modified in any way, you can lock the layer so you won't accidentally do anything with it. So I've got those two layers locked now. So now I can do a select, and even though it kind of highlights those other layers, if I just go and change it to the layer bracket, up comes this little warning: one or more selected objects on a locked layer cannot be updated. So it's saying number of objects removed from the selection set 6. So it's obviously counted the center lines and hidden lines, and it's decided that they're not going to be part of the selection set for changing the layer. So if I close that, hit escape, hard to tell if it's actually changed the layer, but if I left click on it, up pops here, you see, and it tells me there on the layer brackets. So it has worked, it's changed those, but if I select that, it's telling me it's on the center line layer and hasn't changed it. So you can lock it without having it disappear, from your screen. You can lock it and prevent it from being changed. So we can do the same here on those. Again, layer varies. We're going to put it onto the layer bracket. Again, this time it's telling me there's 12 objects removed from my selection set, so they've not been included in the selection set to change layers. Hit escape, and again, hopefully we'll see that the bracket has changed the layer. So, number of ways you can do it. You can lock it. I'll unlock those now. You can lock them, freeze them, or turn them off for changing. Next thing then is the line type scale. So we're asked to change the line type scale again. I think you should remember this. Keyboard shortcut for line type scale, LTS, and give it a scale factor of 0.5 as per the book. Again, remember that's a kind of bit of a hit and miss thing. And if you look at that, it's kind of a little bit sloppy. I wouldn't kind of go with that. I'd try and kind of get that central. You could nearly break them lines up a little bit, but that's the drawing we're with now, so we'll leave it at that. So that's that drawing complete. I did say I'd kind of show you the difference between turning off a layer and freezing a layer. What I'll do is I'll just go up here and I'll just draw a line on the layer. Okay, let's make center line the current layer and draw a line, and we'll make that 10,000 long. Why not? And copy it. Then, and I'll change that to the layer text. So I zoom out. If you look, if I do a Z return, E return, it zooms all. Z return, E return, zooms, extends, same kind of difference. Now, if I was to turn off the layer, it's telling me turn off the current layer will be turned off. What do I do? I'm going to turn it off. And turn off the layer text. Now if I do a zoom extents, it's zooming to the extents of the drawing. Now, if you look at the manual on page 13, there's a little definition of it at the bottom of page 13, section 1. It says, turning off a layer, the layer contents are made invisible and not available for selection. Okay, so they're invisible and not available for selection, but AutoCAD still knows it's there. So when I zoom extents, it knows there's a line there. So zooming to extents, it says, well, AutoCAD still sees it and still tries to fit that line in the drawing. So if I was to turn on both of these layers again, you see it's fitting them within the drawing. If I freeze the layer, you see I get this little warning up. It says this layer cannot be frozen because it's the current layer. Okay, so you can't freeze the current layer. Where you can turn off the current layer, you can't freeze the current layer. So if I set layer 0 current for now, then I can freeze both the center line and text layer. Now when I do a zoom extend Z return E return, it's like that line doesn't exist. AutoCAD doesn't take account of it. And if you look again at your notes, bottom of page 13, the layer contents of a frozen layer are made invisible and not available for selection and will not regenerate until thawed. So AutoCAD's kind of like forgotten all about it. So it doesn't remember it exists, or it takes no account of it whatsoever. So in my mind, in your drawing space, you want to freeze a layer, because when I wanted to get something off screen, and when I do a zoom extents, I want it to zoom into the area that I've kind of left on, if you like, on the screen. I don't want it to kind of zoom to the extents of the drawing and show me that big long line that I've kind of turned off. Because if I just pop it over here and just turn these off instead of that. Now when I zoom extents, every time I zoom extents, I don't want that to happen. because I'd have to then go okay and zoom into that. So in model space, I'd suggest you freeze a layer. When we look at paper space, I'll show you the reason we'll actually be turning off layers in paper space. So we'll be using this little light bulb on the turning off of a layer when we go to paper space and use paper space. But in model space, I suggest you use the freeze thaw layer option. Okay, so that's the slight difference between those two, and that's it kind of as far as these layers are concerned for now. Okay.